Hello YouTube, this is TeroPrize667, and we are back with our Scarlet and Violet Wi-Fi League. So we are joining a Scarlet and Violet Wi-Fi League. It's been a little bit since I've done a Wi-Fi League that I've had to upload. So we're finally coming back. The King is back. I'm ready to win another season. And we're here doing Scarlet and Violet this time. And we're doing the BBR D-League. So we're not the A League, we're the D-League. We're not that good, but we're here either way. So a little bit of early details before I get to what I drafted. I want to start out with saying we were split into two different draft pools. There was a Scarlet draft pool and a Violet draft pool. Had nothing to do with what mons were available. It just happens to do with we had 16 coaches and there weren't a lot of mons. So we just split it up to have 8 people in one draft pool and 8 people in the other draft pool. So the name does not matter. The draft pool name doesn't matter. So it's not like I can only draft mons you find in Violet type of thing. As you can see in the first mon, you can only get in Scarlet anyways. So starting out, I was the 7th pick out of 8. I was not happy. I think anything that is not a first or second pick and is not a wheel pick is garbage. And I was not happy because I got the 7th pick, which I think is like the second or third worst pick in 8 pick draft. So I was unhappy about that, but I was like, you know what, fine, I'll deal with it, whatever. Let me cope somewhere else. And so with my first pick, I just took Roaring Moon. And as you can see, it's also the Terra Captain down here. So what the Terra Captain is I get to choose 2 types. I can Terra as, which is the new mechanic within Scarlet and Violet. And so I can be either a Dark Terra type or a Flying Terra type. So every week I get to choose between 2 types for my Roaring Moon, either being Dark or Flying. So yeah. And so I just took Roaring Moon. I just like it overall. It's fast. It's a Dragon that gets Dragon Dance, so it go faster. It is like its dual stab is amazing. Dark and Dragon, really powerful. Only really like resisted by Fairy, and it does get moves like Poison Jab or Iron Head to deal with those. So yeah, I was happy with that pick. Next, we got Palafin Hero. Well, or just Palafin, but he is in the hero form here. Okay, so I guess no. So this is not a Terra. It's just its typing is water. So on the bottom, it does say like Dark Flying for Roaring Moon. That's just its Terra typings. This one doesn't have a Terra typing. It's just showing us water down there. So next pick was my Palafin. I was just fortunate enough for it to come back to me. When I was picking up Roaring Moon, I had a choice between Roaring Moon, Palafin, and Great Tusk. And I was stuck between Roaring Moon and Palafin. It's like, well, I don't know which one I want. So I ended up taking Roaring Moon because I think its upside is a little bit better than Palafin's. But I was more than happy that Palafin fell to me for the way back, as I was like the semi-wheel of like, there's only 2 picks between me and those 2 picks were from one person. So yeah, I was happy Palafin came back to me. So I was like, all right, I'll grab Palafin. Early round 2 here. Greatmon, once again, just it can click Flip Turn, it just clicks Jet Punch and just does a ton of damage, Wave Crash, Liquidation. It also gets ways like Ice Punch, Poison, I believe it gets Poison Jab as well. You can run special sets like Boom Burst and Surf and Grass Taunt and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm very excited to use this mon. I don't think I've ever used Palafin before with anything like Smogon or regular Showdown draft leagues. Next up, we have Annihilate. So, come round 3, Annihilate was available, and I was like, okay, next broken up, pretty much. So, how I like to draft is just, I like to take most broken stuff, and Annihilate was, I think, another broken mon I could take. Unfortunately, it is not a Terra Captain, so he does kind of just stick with the Ghost and Fighting typing, which is fine. He is an amazing spin blocker, and also kind of like makes people weary on clicking default because he does get a Defiant boost. So I just think it's a perfect way to keep hazards up on their side of the field for me. So I got Annihilate, and that was kind of what my whole goal was. Like, okay, I have Palafin and Roaring Moon. If I could get hazards up, I could kind of just sweep with both of those mons. So I just wanted a way to prevent hazards being removed, so I just grabbed Annihilate. For my 4th pick, I grabbed Iron Moth. Now, once again, just going for what was broken, and I love Iron Moth. I have actually used it before. He is base 110 speed, so he's pretty fast, and Fire and Poison is great offensive typing. I can spam Sludge Wave, I can spam Fiery Dance, I can spam Overheat. It does also get T-Spikes, and it can also be like a sweeper with agility, which I am a big fan of. So overall, I'm just like, okay, let me just grab Iron Moth, click some agilities, or just get T-Spikes up, or just break some mons with this huge special attack stat. I can also run Booster Energy, but a lot of times I think Boots is probably like the safest set, but there may be times where I don't think Boots is necessary. For my 5th pick, I took Hatterene. Speaking of making Boots unnecessary, Hatterene is kind of just like kind of scares people from clicking hazards, because what if Hatterene comes in, my hazards get bounced back on me. So it's kind of there as like a scare tactic as well. On top of Annihilate, I am very much scaring people from getting rid of hazards, and at the same time putting hazards on my side of the field. So it's very helpful for me on that end. I also think Hatterene works a lot better with like the offense I like to run. It's a bulkier psychic type. I'm usually used to running Gardevoir, but I kind of want something a little bit bulkier to help out like in the back end of things, is like be kind of like my backbone to like survive hits and deal some damage or chip back. So that's kind of why I went Hatterene here. I could have gotten Gardevoir, I could have gotten Screamtail, but I thought overall Hatterene was the better pick for me in this team. Next we have Donphan. So a big issue I've had with past drafts is I don't draft a spinner, and I think hazards are huge this generation, mostly because a lot of mons got spikes. So like once you start stacking like rocks and spikes on top of each other, it makes like it chips down your mons really quick, or you're kind of forced to run like a lot of heavy duty boots. So I went with getting Donphan here. I wanted to get a good spinner, and Donphan is an amazing spinner. It's an amazing cheap spinner. And so I went with Donphan. I was so happy that it came back to me. And now I don't have to rely on like defog, clicking defog with a mon to get rid of hazards on my side. I can spin. And so that means I can keep hazards up on my opponent's side. So I'm going to keep talking about hazards. Donphan does get rocks, but as you can see, I don't have any spike setters. So I'm just going to keep talking about them, but I'm not going to get anything with them. Next up, we have Arboliva. I noticed my team's kind of very weak to ground types at this point. I don't have anything that's flying outside of like a Terra flying Roaring Moon. So I was like, okay, let me get something that can at least tank a ground type hit. And then also sets the grassy terrain with its ability Grassy Surge. Or I believe it's Grassy Surge. I'll have to double check that, but another beautiful thing about Arboliva is it's like a niche check to a lot of like Seed Sword. I'm sorry, Seed Sword. It's not Grassy Surge. Grassy Surge is what Rillaboom had. So Seed Sword. So if it gets hit, it sets the grassy terrain. So it's kind of in a way of like it doesn't set it unless it gets hit type of thing. So that could be a little annoying, but at least at this point, it does kind of just like make ground types a lot weaker versus me. So I'm very happy about that. Iron Moth and Annihilate can be very thankful. Same with Roaring Moon. So I'm like that's kind of what it's doing. It also is like a niche check for like water types or like Rotoms, like Rotom Wash and Rotom Mow, which I think are like also like really good mods. I have like there's only 2 of them that have been drafted, so it's not like I'm going to face them every week, or I don't even know if I'm going to face them at all. But just in case I do, Arboliva is a great check for those 2 Rotom forms. Yeah, so I'm excited. I have used Arboliva before within the Spogon tournament, so I'm happy to use it again. Next up we have Tinkaton. Now, Tinkaton is not really like an offensive powerhouse, but it does get a huge move in Gigaton Hammer, which is base 160 base power with no drawback other than you can't use it again the next turn, which, you know, is totally fine. You just switch out or you click knockoff or something like that. It does get knockoff, it does get foul play, it does get rocks. So I have 2 different rock setters. And it's like a very bulky, like specially defensive side. So like for like special dragons, I can kind of like use Syncaton to like, kind of help handle them. So that's sort of what it's here for, just be like a special check for dragons. And so yeah, that's why I took Tinkaton. Also, it's a steel type, so yay, fun, steel type. Next up, I took Frostlass. So here is my spike setter finally. I got to this point, I had like 11 or 12 points left. It's like, I would like a spike setter now. I kind of have everything else that I want. Like I have like everything else checked off. I have like my ground resistance with an Arboliva that kind of helps other mons resist ground as well, technically with its ability Seed Sower. I have like I have my spin blocker, I have breakers, I have sweepers. I was like, now I just kind of like I have walls, and now it's like now I just kind of want something that like I could set spikes. I could be even more threatening in the hazard game, and I could just kind of just have these passive damage stack up real quick. So I got Frostlass, which it's a fast spike setter, which is like very good for. It was all like very cheap. I was like, I would love a fast spike setter. Getting Frostlass was just amazing overall. I'm very happy to get it. Also, Ice type, it can kind of handle like dragons kind of run wild this generation with the lack of fairy types, especially since I drafted 2 of them. But like dragon types don't really scare me, which is amazing to have. Next up, we have Squawkabilly. I drafted this because it's a flying type. That is all. It's a flying type and it's funny. This is why I drafted Squawkabilly. It does have a kind of nice attack stat, like I believe like base 90 something. Yeah, base 96. It's so it's kind of funny on that end. It's like it has a funny attack stat. So you know, it also has abilities like Intimidate, Hustle, Guts. Like it has amazing abilities. Its stat distribution is kind of something to wish for. It's like 96 attack, 92 speed. That's about it. Its defenses are poor. Its special attack is poor. Literally, I just like I want a flying type, and I have like 3 points left. Let me just grab Squawkabilly. So it's kind of what I did. And the last pick is Pikachu. So I have 1 point left at this point, and I was like, you know what? I want to get something that can actually be like, I want to get something from the 1 point tier that can actually be kind of scary. I was like, you know what? Pikachu. It's an electric type, so like it does add to the typings. It does give you like more pivot options with Volt Switch and stuff, but it can also be scary, especially for teams who like under prepare. It can kind of just like go in really hard with Light Ball, and then it gets Trailblaze this generation, so it just boosts its speed, become faster, become scarier. A lot of mons are going to be like freaked out by this and just kind of die to it because it's a Pikachu, and Pikachu's amazing. Its attack stat is huge. It hits over 400 with Light Ball. Lack of knockoff is amazing this gen. So honestly, 1 point Pikachu I think is kind of a steal. So as ironic as it is to say that, because you know its defensive stats are terrible, its attacking stats without a Light Ball are terrible. Its only good stat is its speed, and that's kind of it's fine. It's not great, but it's not too slow. So you know, once you click Trailblaze once, it can outspeed things. So overall, I'm happy with Pikachu. I like Pikachu. I can't wait to use Pikachu, and I'm gonna get some kills with Pikachu, is my hope. All right. That is my team. 11 mons. I am very happy with this draft. I think it's kind of busted, especially like the early end of getting Roaring Moon, Palafin, Annihilate, and Iron Moth within the first 4 rounds. I think is amazing. All of those mons are like scary, like first 2 round picks on their own, and getting all 4 of them is just makes this team super threatening. And then like I don't even think it's like too top heavy. Like I have some solid mons to back them up. So like I have Hatterene, Donphan, Tinkaton, and so like just those 3 mons. And like all the other mons like do their like specific niches that I need them to do, like Arboliva, Frostlass, and then the last 2 mons are just, you know, for show. So thank you all so much for watching. I'm very excited. Please do be sure to like catch my games. They'll be uploaded every Monday following this month, following today. So yeah, be sure to catch my games, and please do subscribe. I am on my way to 50. I would love to hit 50 by the end of the season. That'd be great. I'd be so excited for that. And it's just I just want to keep growing this channel with just Draft League content. with Wi-Fi timer being back, I'm very excited to see where this goes. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace.